Good Saturday morning, everyone. Today on Perspectives, big plans to transform Mobile's downtown airport at Brookley Field into a major commercial airline hub. Now, last month, the Mobile Airport Authority announced a master plan for a new $160 million terminal, moving passenger air service to the Brookley Aeroplex from the terminal in West Mobile. The Airport Authority says that their 2018 feasibility study shows a relocation would make air travel more accessible for Mobile and Baldwin County passengers. The Mobile Regional Airport facility on Airport Boulevard would be confined to commercial air transport. As Tyler Fingert reports, it's a 20-year vision for the airport and its impact on the greater Mobile area.
Right now, it's just a plan on paper, but in a few years, the Mobile Airport Authority hopes to make it reality, a new terminal and possibly a new name, Brookley Field International Airport.
I'm very excited, and this is a transformational project.
The Airport Authority announcing its master plan, all centering around moving commercial flight operations from the regional airport to Brookley.
None of the airlines that I have met with in the last 3 years are interested in adding new destinations or serving the Mobile Regional Airport because the access to the airport is not easy.
A study found that 55% of people who should use Mobile airports don't because of location. The hope is the move will get new carriers to increase competition and reduce fares.
We believe that the airlines will look at it as a win-win for them. It's a win-win for those who are, all the citizens that are buying the tickets.
Time is money. So when you can curtail, you can shorten the time of travel, it's a benefit to the business traveler.
The Mobile Airport Authority hopes to have the new terminal built and service starting from Brookley within the next 5 years.
Now, I think it'll be even more exciting when we get a concept or rendering of how it will look. And then it will be even more exciting when we can walk through a physical terminal.
Tyler Fingert, Fox 10 News.
We thank Tyler for that report. And while boosters of the plan say it makes good business sense for Mobile, there are still others who do have concerns. Now, many residents in that area worry that the expansion of commercial airline traffic to the Brookley Aeroplex could negatively impact neighborhoods close by. Some residents have voiced concerns about the increased noise levels as well as the possible displacement of homeowners by commercial business development. Still, others worry about quality of life.
What the increase in traffic is going to be with the airport there, new road development, how are you going to get all the traffic in and out of the airport as it expands and grows, how that's going to impact the community.
Right now, American, Delta, and United Airlines all fly out of the Mobile Regional Airport in West Mobile. All say they will move to the downtown airport, saying that they believe it will make air travel from Mobile more competitive with the Pensacola International Airport. Now, according to the U.S. Bureau of Transportation Statistics, Mobile Regional in West Mobile served a little more than 650,000 passengers last year. Pensacola, by comparison, served 2.2 million. Now, as of right now, there is no set date for the move, as mentioned, but possibly in the next 5 years. The timeline depends on planning, design, and construction work for the terminal, which also includes parking and roadway improvements. Joining us this morning is Chris Curry, president of the Mobile Airport Authority. Curry says that all of those questions are being taken seriously by Mobile leaders and will be addressed. So, big plans for Brookley and how it will affect the people who live along Dauphin Island Parkway. Chris Curry will also update us on how safe it is to travel by air during this COVID-19 pandemic. He also shares about the state of the industry right now due to the pandemic, because officials say that a safe, secure, efficient, and resilient air transportation system is critical to the nation's economic recovery. We'll hear more about the Runway to Recovery program and the series of actions that have been implemented. Perspectives continues after this quick break. And joining us today on Perspectives, the president of the Mobile Airport Authority, Chris Curry. Chris Curry, welcome to the program again as we're looking and talking about your master plan, a continuation of sharing earlier with us a few months ago about the plans to move from the regional location out on Airport Boulevard past Schillinger to the downtown Mobile Airport location. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me again.
Well, let's talk about that. You've had some things happen between the last time that we talked to where you were evaluating, taking a look at the performance of passengers coming to your downtown airport location, especially from Baldwin County. Give us an idea of what happened since the last time we talked to get to this point now.
Well, since the last time we talked, we've been working through and completed the master plan for the downtown airport. The master plan covers the next 20 years of development so that we can develop the downtown airport into a multimodal world-class facility. We learned from the trial one with Frontier that the airport was much more accessible and would be utilized by Baldwin County residents. So, for example, the current usage of Baldwin County at the Mobile Regional Airport is 10%, whereas when Frontier was serving the downtown airport, we were able to cater to 60% of the residents from Baldwin County. So in order for us to have a fully functional world-class facility, we need to have an airport that accommodates customers from the counties of Mobile, Baldwin, and beyond.
I know, looking at some of the information that we went over, I like what the statement says here. The study itself found, the feasibility study from 2018, that it was both feasible but critical for the MAA to move the commercial air passenger service to the more accessible location. So you are extremely excited about what will happen once the downtown becomes a major passenger location.
Yeah, we are very excited. You know, the Mobile Airport Authority realized that it was all about location, location, location. And we have really focused on the passenger element. However, the plan to move downtown is so much larger than that. So one of the other advantages of moving downtown is the multimodal function that the airport can serve, being so close to the Port of Mobile. So when you think of the opportunities that lie ahead, an international airport that has rail, highway, road access, I mean, all the elements are there for a world-class transportation facility.
Time-wise, what type of time frame we're looking at to make the move to where we'll be considering that as our location now for commercial passenger traffic?
Well, we have a primary and an alternative. So the primary is to build a new passenger terminal that could be ready in as early as 3 years. The other alternative would be to expand the existing temporary terminal, which we could do in about a year to accommodate the legacy carriers at MOB if they want to move sooner.
When you look at the making that move, will it require you to get some new land and to add to the existing facility downtown?
Well, for the initial move, it does not require any more land. But for us to build out the ultimate airport facility that we envision over the next 20 years, we would look to add some land mass to the airport as it exists today. Primarily land that exists east of the airport boundary and to the north.
When you talk about the people who live in the downtown area, I know that you've had some interest of concern where folks are worried about the noise or worried about how close they'll be living to the runway areas. How are you addressing that?
Well, we started with having them involved in the master plan. So we established a Citizens Advisory Committee that was comprised of residents from around the Mobile area and also Baldwin County so we could hear their concerns. And we incorporated that into the master plan, and we were able to explain to them all the precautions that we were taking so that we could have a world-class facility and not interrupt their daily living.
And so what kind of response are you receiving from that section of the community that had concerns?
Well, I think the response has been good. I mean, we were able to address some myths that were out there and some rumors as well, because there was a concern that the flight path would change just because we added more aircraft, and the flight path would not change. And we were also able to address some of their noise concerns to help them feel assured that the noise associated with the airport does not extend much outside our boundary.
Now, a lot of that has changed with the technology of the aircraft today as compared to what folks may have experienced back in the day when more traffic was there at that Brookley complex.
Well, that is true. And, you know, for the last few decades, you know, the airport has been served by 777s, A330s, which are some of the largest aircraft in the industry and some of the oldest. So as we progress into the future with the way that aircraft are built today, there's different noise standards. Aircraft are much quieter, and the aircraft that would utilize Brookley or the downtown airport in a passenger configuration would be much smaller as well.
When you look at the cost, do you have the funding already in place to make the initial moves?
We do not have the funding in place, but we've estimated about $400 million over the next 20 years. The larger projects are rehabilitating the pavement that's been there since World War II, and also the build of the new terminal and relocation of the air traffic control facility.
So where would that funding come from?
Well, a majority of the funding would come from the Federal Aviation Administration. We anticipate some funding being provided by the Mobile Airport Authority, State of Alabama, and perhaps the county and the city.
When you talk about the airlines that you're currently working with, I think you mentioned the existing ones. What's their reception to your plans?
Well, the legacy carriers that we have at MOB, they have always been excited about the downtown location. They love the access, and they believe that it will allow them to attract more customers than they currently utilize them at MOB.
So you're expecting good results from that. What about adding new carriers?
Well, that was part of the results of the feasibility study, was that in order for us to attract new carriers, we needed the downtown location. And in order for us to reduce airfares, we needed the downtown location to attract new carriers and create competition in the market. So we feel like it's a win-win for everybody.
So you see the possibility of having a third, or really say a second airport, being as competitive as your competition on both the east direction and the west direction, to where you'll be able to be in the game, so to speak, compared to the past?
Well, yeah, I think it certainly makes us competitive. If we continue to exist out at MOB, we're not competitive with any of our neighboring airports.
Well, I'm sure that's one thing that a lot of the customers that you got response from are looking forward to. When you look at that Baldwin County number again, what did they say was the main reason? Was it just the accessibility, or did the rates the carrier was offering at that time? What was some of the response that you got from that feasibility study?
Well, the feasibility study, it mainly dealt with the access initially. And it said that, you know, the weakness of MOB was its location. And again, for us to be located right beside interstates that take us as far north and as far east and west as you can go, that was very important. In addition, moving the airport moves us closer to about 140,000 people in Baldwin County, and people tend to use the airport that's closest to them.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the feasibility study from 2018, as well as the master plan now to make that move, and also about the effects of COVID-19 on current operations. We're talking with Chris Curry, the president of the Mobile Airport Authority. Perspectives continues in just a moment. Our guest this morning, Chris Curry, president of the Mobile Airport Authority, and we're talking about the new master plan, making a major move of the passenger traffic to our downtown location. Again, Chris, thank you for being a part of this. When you look at that and the dates that you're working towards, what would be the first date that we should see some of the major move taking place?
Well, it's all funding dependent. There's a lot of things that the airport authority need to do that may not be as obvious, such as environmental and the planning to relocate some of the businesses on the airport that will be impacted by the airport terminal. And I think once we get those things underway, then we'll start looking at the design of the new terminal facility.
Looking at the size of the terminal there in West Mobile, how will you utilize that when you talk about the capabilities that it has right now, having been the major terminal?
Well, one of the things I will say about the planning of the new terminal is that the new terminal is smaller than the terminal at the MOB by approximately 32,000 square feet. So the new terminal is designed to be much more efficient, a little bit smaller, so the airlines will not have to pay as much with rates and charges, and we will also include a parking garage with the new facility. As to the downtown facility, you know, a lot of people have asked what is the use after you close MOB, and it will still be maintained as an airport, and we will look at all opportunities for the highest and best use of that building. But we will look to take revenue that we can generate from disposal of land or otherwise, and then turn around and invest that in the downtown airport.
We will still see flights going in and out of the current terminal there in West Mobile?
Well, I see flights going in and out, but not necessarily commercial. We have an active Coast Guard unit there, and I think that the facilities are desirable for military training, GA aircraft, and perhaps in the future some cargo potential.
All right, so definitely seeing a different change there. Let's talk about what we've been going through here the last several months with COVID-19 and major impact on the airline industry. What type of effects has that had on Mobile Regional?
Well, COVID-19 has been devastating to the industry overall, to include Mobile. In April, which was the worst month, our traffic was down about 92%. And we were down to 7 flights a day as opposed to 21 today. We've seen the industry start to make small gains as states have started to open up, but I don't think we'll see a dramatic change until international flight comes back. And even though Mobile does not fly directly to international cities from our airports, we do fly through the hubs that are provided to us. So again, April was the worst. It was at 92%. This month we're right around 51%, and we're up to about 17 flights a day.
Looking at one of the news releases from July 2nd from the Transportation Secretary, the guidance for air travel in response to COVID-19, several different things put in place as the Runway to Recovery program. How do you feel about those things that happened early July having an impact on where we are now and where you see us going here in the next couple of months?
Well, I think any assistance that can be provided by the federal government to airlines or airports is appreciated. We all are in it together, and I think that we will recover, but who knows how long, because the recovery is not just based on what we do in the United States, it's based on what happens worldwide. And so I think as much funding that's available to help all of us survive will be much appreciated, will allow us to serve the general public and also employ the people that we do.
The recommendations on this particular program, the Runway to Recovery, has that affected your budget, having to do some of these things like the disinfection and the cleaning procedures, as well as some of the other things with the health assessments? Has that affected your budget directly?
Well, as an airport, we're recipients of many different funding mechanisms. So, you know, several months ago, we were awarded some money under the CARES Act, and that was for payroll, operations, and debt service. There's also a component with FEMA that allows us to be funded for things that we have to do to increase the overall safety of the airport. For example, hand sanitizers. FEMA provided more than 30,000 masks to the airport authority that we could distribute to employees and also the traveling customer. So there's many different pockets of federal funding, and if we utilize all of them, then it allows us to still maintain a safe operation.
Now, how have your personnel fared there? I see where they have information on the different facilities affected by COVID-19. How have your people in the air traffic control area, as well as the personnel who are working the airport, how have they fared with testing positive or negative for COVID-19?
Well, we've actually done pretty well. I mean, we have 105 employees that are employed by the authority, and we may have had 5 or 6 incidents of COVID. And so when that has occurred, we follow the guidance of the CDC, and everyone is healthy. But it's something that we have to monitor every day because you never know when and how it might affect your organization.
So give us a idea from your perspective with all the changes, the things that have been done during this recovery period. How safe is it to fly again, especially here out of Mobile?
Well, I think it's extremely safe to fly to Mobile. I mean, we mandate the wearing of masks. We follow the state and city guidance for that. As I mentioned, we distribute masks to the traveling public and employees of the airport. We've also rolled out a program called Mobile Ready. And so Mobile Ready involves a lot of signage throughout the airport that allows you to maintain your social distance, but it just provides a lot of information of the things that you should do to stay safe. It recommends washing your hands frequently. We have hand sanitizer dispensers throughout the airport more than ever. So I feel very comfortable with the traveling environment, especially out of Mobile. You know, I had the opportunity to travel for the first time in 4 or 5 months a few weeks ago, and I was looking at all the things that you had to touch as you transition from one airport to another, and there was very few things that I actually had to put my hands on. And so I think that may also lead to the future of travel. You know, how much technology can you put in place where the customer does not have to touch anything to complete a trip?
Will make a lot of difference. Chris Curry, president of the Mobile Airport Authority, we thank you for joining us today on Perspectives and giving us an inside look at what's going on right now in the industry, as well as future plans for the downtown Mobile Airport. We thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
All right, we'll be right back after this. Next week on Perspectives, if you've been keeping up with the news, you know that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of changes in the business of farming. Prices for nearly all the major crops have dropped by double-digit percentages, some as much as 30 to 40%. Now, before the pandemic, many of our farmers were already making adjustments due to what they call unnecessary regulations and trade issues with foreign buyers like China. Now, COVID-19 has broken their distribution and supply chains and caused a loss of markets, as well as increased their expenses as they introduce new protocols to make their farms safer. We'll talk with Art Sessions, a third-generation Mobile County farmer who is also president of the Mobile County Farmers Federation. And Oliver Washington IV will also join us to share. He's also a third-generation local greenhouse and ornamental plant farmer. Well, please join us here next Saturday morning at 9 for Perspectives as we discuss very important issues and seek solutions. If you have ideas of topics that you'd like for us to address, just drop it to us at perspectives@fox10tv.com. I'm Eric Reynolds. Have a great week.